Yo, what's good YouTube? It's your dog J back again with another video, man. And today we are reacting to From NRL to All Blacks Monster. Brad Thorne was built different. Alright? Every All Blacks player I reacted to has been a dog, man. And from what I can hear, I'm thinking he's going to be causing some issues, man. Like I said, he might be playing rugby, but he might be trying to fight too. So let's go ahead and get to these highlights.
He didn't care for the headlines or flashy highlight reels. What he cared about was doing the hard yards, smashing bodies in the ruck.
Okay, we got a little history run on him.
Head out like it was a final. This is a
little
story
player
of a man
report.
who played both rugby league and rugby union at the highest level, not just surviving but dominating, and rewriting what it means to be built different. Born in Mosgiel, New Zealand in 1975, Thorne's rugby legacy didn't just begin in black. It began across the Tasman. After moving to Australia as a child, his talents developed early and violently. By the time he was a young adult, Thorne was already a standout physical presence in the Broncos system. He made his first grade NRL debut in 1994 and wasted no time letting opponents know who he was. Thorne wasn't just a good league player, he was elite. He won 4 NRL premierships with the Broncos in 1997, 1998.
What? He won 4?
He won 4 NRL premierships with the Broncos in 1997, 1998, 2000 and 2006 and played 8 tests for Australia. The Kangaroos loved his aggression, but it was his consistency that made him indispensable. He wasn't flashy, he was the enforcer who did the work no one wanted and made it look like routine. Standing at 1.96 meters tall and weighing around 115 kilograms in his prime, Thorne had the frame of a wrecking ball and the mindset of a soldier. On the field, he was tireless, hunting down tackles, running hard lines, and never shying away from contact. Off the field, he was quiet, almost reclusive. Teammates often describe him as intense but deeply respected. He wasn't the type to give motivational speeches. He led by example by how hard he trained and how brutal he played. At the Broncos, legends like Darren Lockyer and Shane Webke saw Thorne as the heart of their forward pack. He was never just another player, he was the hammer. Then, at the height of his NRL success, Thorne did the unthinkable. In 2001, he switched codes. Rugby union was calling, and so was his country of birth, New Zealand. Most league players dabble in union with mixed results, but not Thorne. He didn't just adapt, he conquered. He joined the Crusaders in Super Rugby and immediately made his mark. It was like he was born for this code too. Lineouts, mastered. Ruck work, dominant. Defensive pressure, ruthless. His transition was seamless and left many in awe. How could someone so successful in league switch so cleanly into rugby union's complex, nosed systems? Simple answer, work ethic.
Damn.
In 2003, Thorne debuted for the All Blacks. It was more than a debut, it was a return home. He was back in black, only this time it wasn't kangaroo gold. It was New Zealand's sacred jersey. He was only 28 years old.
Hold on, so has there been many players to successfully transition from the NRL to like rugby union, rugby league? Because to win 4 chips in the NRL, and like I said, on top of his work ethic, maybe he felt like he had nothing else to prove.
That might sound late for a test debut, but Thorne didn't care. He wasn't in the business of timelines, he was in the business of performance. He played 12 tests in that first year, including the Rugby World Cup. Though New Zealand didn't lift the trophy that time, Thorne's impact was clear. He had cemented himself as an All Blacks lock to be feared and trusted. After his first stint, Thorne briefly returned to rugby league in 2005 and won another NRL premiership with the Broncos. Yes, he left Union and still had enough in the
He left, came back, and won again
to dominate in the league once again. But he wasn't with rugby union, not even close. He came back to New Zealand, rejoined the Crusaders, and reclaimed his All Blacks jersey like he never left. The man was a machine. Age didn't slow him down, injuries didn't define him, and critics couldn't figure him out. He was just always ready. Then came the 2011 Rugby World Cup on home soil. New Zealand hadn't won the tournament since 1987, and the pressure was immense. The expectation, sky high. But Brad Thorne didn't blink. He didn't care about legacy or pressure. He cared about performance. At 36 years and 262 days old, Thorne helped New Zealand edge past France in a nerve-wracking final and finally lifted the Webb Ellis Cup. He became the oldest player to win a Rugby World Cup final, and he did it not as a passenger, but as a warrior in the engine room of the pack.
He's on a crazy run right now. So is that 5 chips that he
Cup
has?
would have been enough for most, but not Thorne. Just months later, he signed a short-term deal with Irish powerhouse Leinster. Most players retire after a world title. Thorne won the European Heineken Cup in 2012, helping Leinster to a 42-14 win in the final. Now he had conquered 3 rugby's most prestigious prizes: a Rugby World Cup, a Super Rugby title, and a Heineken Cup. Think about that.
What the
That's
fuck?
Southern Hemisphere,
Hey,
Northern Hemisphere.
I'm not even sure how important those are, but like I said, hearing it sounds crazy. And that's not counting
International
NRL.
dominance. He didn't cross codes, he crossed hemispheres and won in all of them. Many fans and pundits began to compare him to South Africa's Bucky Sporter, the Springboks' legendary hardman. Both players had the same no-nonsense approach to the game. No time for drama, just raw aggression, dominance in the tight 5, and willingness to do the dirty work that wins championships.
Damn!
Porter may have had 5.
The headbutt into the back of the head?
Wins championships. Porter may have had more headlines, but Thorne just had as much bite. And unlike Bucky's, Thorne did it in 2 crosscodes and 3 continents. Their styles were different, but their impacts were the same: painful, relentless, and respected. What made Thorne even more special was his attitude. He wasn't loud, he didn't look for cameras, he earned the nickname Captain Invincible, not because he disappeared, but because the media often overlooked him. Yet within teams, he was irreplaceable. Teammates knew what he brought every time he stepped onto the field.
Like
Pure
electricity.
commitment. Whether it was a scrum, maul, or breakdown. Thorne was always first in, last out. His humility was his armor. He didn't talk about being great, he just showed it. And just when you thought the story was done, Thorne pulled on another surprise. After retiring from professional rugby in 2015, he made a low-key comeback the following year. At age 41, he laced up again for Queensland.
I ain't gonna lie, he kind of sound like Jordan, bro, like Jordan S. I'm not sure him leaving and coming back. It's not like he retired or anything, but he still won after leaving, like
in Australia's national
after
rugby
leaving the
championship.
NRL.
At 41, playing a contact sport against men half of his age and still holding his own, it wasn't just for fame or nostalgia. It was because he still loved the game. He wasn't playing for a big paycheck, he just wanted to compete. During that time, Thorne was also transitioning into coaching. He became involved in the youth development and soon took charge of the Queensland Reds in Super Rugby. His coaching philosophy mirrored his playing days: discipline, work ethic, and no shortcuts. He didn't tolerate laziness and demanded the same kind of sacrifice he once gave. Under his leadership, the Reds began to rebuild. He wasn't a smooth-talking playbook-loving strategist. He was a motivator by example. Even now, years after his playing days, Brad Thorne's name brings a kind of presence. He's one of the very few who achieved legendary status in both rugby codes. A dual international, a premiership winner, a World Cup champion, a Heineken Cup victor, and a role model. He didn't get there by talking, he got there by doing. People like Brad Thorne don't come around often. Players like him usually specialise in one area, but Thorne's career defined the rules. He succeeded where others failed, stayed humble where others sought praise, and pushed boundaries where others stayed safe. He didn't just play rugby, he embodied it. So when you hear people debate about who is the toughest ever rugby player, throw Brad Thorne's name in that ring.
Okay.
Because while Bucky Sporter may have intimidated opponents in green, Brad Thorne did the same in black and gold before that. And he did it over 2 decades, in multiple countries, in multiple codes, and on every stage imaginable. Brad Thorne wasn't just built different, he proved it over and over again. Ever wanted to create your own rugby highlights channel
Hey, man.
just like this one?
Armor King 98, shout out to you, because this was a good video, man. This is a good rundown on the history of Brad Thorne. And I want to know y'all's opinions, man. Y'all let me know where y'all have Brad Thorne ranked among the greats. And like I said, he played all over. So like I said, this isn't just NRL. This rugby league, rugby union. So y'all let me know, man. Who has anybody else had this much success going to different leagues? I'm curious. I'm interested. Y'all let me know. Appreciate y'all for pulling up. Please like, comment, subscribe. And I will see y'all in the next video, man. I'm out. Peace.